Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a good old-fashioned voiceover because your girl didn't have time to sit and ramble. Otherwise, I'd be here for hours. Okay, so starting with skin prep, I start by washing my face, do my basic AM routine, followed by some kind of brightening serum, so lactic acid is really good for that. Followed by eye cream because that sits really well under concealer and makes it look much nicer and less cracked out throughout the day. Next part is vitamin C. I try to use this religiously every morning because it does work really well with sunscreen. And as you see, I don't know if you can, but I've used up pretty much all of it. And the next part for red lips is quite crucial because you want them to be as nice and smooth as possible. So I scrub it first and I use a good layer of a nourishing balm. And for the last and most important step, SPF. This is SPF 50 by the brand Australian Gold. This one is really good because it makes my skin look so glowy. And pro tip, look for like kids versions of sunscreen, so it's cheaper and they have like lesser ingredients, so they're hypoallergic, better for people with sensitive skin. And I love the effect it gives me. It completely removes the need for some kind of glowy primer or like a liquid highlight, but just for the purpose of this video I want like extra glowy skin. So I'm going in with this Embryolisse. As you can see, I'm struggling to get any last bits out. Listen, like makeup artists, they won't shut up about this, and I kind of see their point. It's super moisturizing and it's so nourishing, and it just gives your skin like a really nice wet hug. Oh, that came out wrong, but it just gives you a really nice base to work with, and I do agree that it makes for a great primer. My only gripe with it is it's too thick for some people maybe, but for me, because I have kind of dry skin, it's really good under makeup. So you might have to watch out for this if you have oily skin. And you can see that beautiful glow it gives me. And just for my T-zone, because we're going for a really glam look today, I want to do the most, you could say. I'm using this pore filling primer in my T-zone, in my sides of the nose, on the middle of the forehead, and yeah. Next, I use my favorite concoction for my complexion base. I'm using this disgusting looking primer, but it's so good. It's so good. I use one swipe of the spatula and then one squeeze of the foundation. And you have to mix it for quite a while because the consistencies are quite different. So I kind of mix it to the point where the consistency becomes this stringy, unappealing looking concoction, but really it sits so well and it wears beautifully throughout the day. And I kind of spread that around and I dot it where I want, and then I squeeze my sponge. I thought I squeezed enough, but apparently not. I won't say no, it has to be damp, but it should not be wet at all. Like when you squeeze it, there should be barely any water coming out, otherwise it will look a bit patchy when you use it to blend. And then you blend away my friends. And I kind of do one sheer layer. I don't want to keep building coverage over and over because I want to cover that one spot on my left cheek, as you can see, but I will go in on top of these spots with concealer rather than keeping on layers and layers of foundation. And next we're going to use our trusty old Fallen Soldier Becca under eye color corrector. This one, I think it's in the darker shade. I mean, this was back before it got bought by Smashbox, so it was just the 2 shades of light and the dark one. And listen, the thing with this is you have to use it sparingly. It's so creamy. If you use it like the way you would use a concealer, it's going to crease and it's going to break down anything you put on top. So you have to use it very sparingly, so just a tiny amount. And it has this shimmery quality, so it kind of illuminates just the innermost part of your eye. So I use it for that purpose. And I'm going to use this one from Essence. Listen, don't sleep on Essence. I know everyone loves to talk about their brow and their mascaras, but like, their concealer is so good. It's literally one of the cheapest drugstore concealers, and it's so creamy. It says it's a matte finish, but it's kind of like a semi-matte satin finish. I kind of let it sit there, and it's so close to my skin tone. I just let it sit for a few seconds. Next, I'm using the Kevyn Aucoin Skin Essential something. I don't know. This is way too dark for me, so obviously I use it as a framing like contour product. And I don't know why, but in the tube it looks really cool tone, but on my face it translates a bit more warm. So on some days when I'm a bit more tan, it gives me more of a bronzy effect. The other days it gives me a bit more structure and dimension. And the thing is, you need a tiny smidgen amount of this, and this product has 18 grams. You're gonna be set. You're gonna have this with you in your casket. There's no way you're gonna go through 18 grams of this, because when they say you need a pea-size amount, you need a pea-size amount. Like, that's all you need for your full face. And I use a sponge because it's easier to blend and it absorbs most of it. If you were to use a brush, you would have a lot more payoff, but I want to keep it quite like minimal. I don't want the contour to be too structured, so that's why I prefer to use a sponge today. Then I'm blending out my concealer. It's been here for a while, so the coverage is a bit amped up. And then I blend that blemish, and you can see it's quite unnoticeable after you let it sit for a bit. And after I dab that, I swatch some of my options for reds. These are they're quite similar, but then they have completely different effects. The first one is from Chanel. I think it's in the shade Nightfall. The second one is the NYX Suede in the shade Reno, I think. I'm gonna list everything down below so you can check that out. Oh, no, it was Vintage, my bad. The next one is classic MAC Ruby Woo. It's a mini. Listen, don't get full-size lipsticks if you can buy minis. You're probably never gonna finish up. And the last one is Madame from Fenty. I was contemplating between the first and the second one, so probably the Chanel and the Fenty one. The next one, I have actually depotted a milk highlighter. This is in the shade Supernova. It's a gorgeous, stunning, supposedly holographic purple highlighter. Listen, I don't agree that it's holographic, but it does give a beautiful illumination. And the thing is, it's so sheer, it feels like a balm with a slight purple shift. So if you shear it out enough, it just looks like a beautiful sheen. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Initially when I got it, I thought it's going to look quite stark because I have quite warm skin, but honestly, if you shear it out, it just looks like a very beautiful glow. The reason I have it in a pot is because the packaging is faulty and I couldn't get any more product out after 1 month of use. So yeah. And now we're going to go ahead with the lips. This is a good idea if you have a lip shade that you really want to wear for an event, because if you start with lips first, you can kind of customize where you can start and the direction you can go with the eye look. Because if I start with the eyes, I inevitably end up with something way too dark, way too dramatic, and then I have to kind of tone down the lips and I don't get to use the lip color or shade that I intended to. This would be a good way to kind of limit yourself. Speaking of which, the lip liner that I used was from Makeup Forever in the shade Limitless Brown. It's not too warm, not too cool tone, so it's really great. It's really customizable. And by the way, a really cool trick was I found out that the tip of the Becca has a brush in it, which I can use to blend. And if you remove it, it also has a lip liner, so that I thought was pretty neat. I didn't realize that until this video. I use it first so I can get like an idea of how far I want to go with overlining, just on the Cupid's bow and on the bottom lip, so I can get some more volume. And then I go ahead with the Becca lip liner in the shade Playful. It's a beautiful, really cool tone red. And you can actually just go with this first, but I think that the brown base underneath just gives it a bit more dimension and structure, especially where you want to add some, you know, fullness, especially in the sides of the mouth. So I'm contemplating if I want to fill in my lips completely with this, because you can get a bit more of a long wearing lip if you do go in with a lip liner first. So I decided I want to do that. I use the brush to just kind of give me a bit more shape and blending, and I just use that to get a bit more precise in the corners. And I'm going back in with the brown one just to give me a bit more dimension where I kind of lost some of that color. And I'm going to fill in the inner parts with the one from Chanel in the shade Nightfall, I guess. Yeah. Because it's a bit more luminous. I just think it's a bit more comfortable because I have a lot of flaking in the inner part. And on the outer parts and everywhere else, I'm going in with this beautiful blood red color from Fenty in the shade Madame. And as you can see, I'm pretty stoked by how pigmented and how rich and beautiful it looks. It's a beautiful red. Lovely, lovely. And then I go in with some more concealer. I'm using the Maybelline Age Refined. I cannot tell you what shade it is. It's pretty old. Everything is worn out. I will list it down below. And I'm kind of using whatever's left just underneath my contour, just to cut my cheeks a bit and give me a bit more structure and a bit more chisel just under my cheekbones. And after a while I blend out my concealer, because I thought with this look. It just needs to be a bit more glam. I mean, the first concealer, the one from Essence, it's great for everyday, but it's way too close to my skin tone, and I wanted a bit more illumination, a bit more 3D effect to my face, so I added a lighter concealer shade. And whatever is left on my fingers, I just use that to kind of even out any discoloration on my eyelids. For my eyebrows, I keep it really simple today. I'm using this, I don't know at the time, because everything was worn out. All of my brow products are well loved. This is a brow pencil from Yoko. This is a Polish indie brand. It's very affordable, very cheap. It's just a very basic, thick, flat-tipped eyebrow pencil. It's not really great for people with skinny brows if you want to create very hair-like strokes, because it's quite flat. It doesn't allow you to do that really well, but I have quite thick brows, so I just need it for like general filling in, and that works really well for that purpose. And I'm really happy with the shape that this gives my face. It just looks really cohesive with my face shape because it's quite round. Next, I'm going in with the cream blush from Fenty in the shade Summertime Wine. It's very creamy and pigmented, so be careful with this. Then I'm setting that all of my face really with the Maybelline powder in 220 beige. And just under my eyes, I lost footage of this, but I just set the area under my eyes with the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Light something. Yeah. As you can see, it goes on very pigmented, but you can easily blend this out and tame this down, but don't use it on top of a set complexion base. If you use powder first, it's kind of patchy, and it'll be a lot more difficult to blend this out. As you can see, it just really melts into your face and looks really flushed and nice and healthy. And I'm using the side of it. I'm using the rear side of the sponge where I had some of the powder, just to kind of push and mesh the blush and the foundation together. And I'm setting that with the powder that I mentioned, and this kind of tames down some of that blush and it mattifies your complexion a bit, because I feel like in a couple of hours my skin will get a bit glowy anyway, so if it's too glowy to begin with, it's gonna be an oil slide by the end. Not that I have really oily skin, but I still have an oily T-zone like most people. And I leave the sides of my cheeks and temples devout of powder because I want to retain some of the glow, and I messed up kind of here. I forgot to use my liquid highlighter. This is too dark for me. It's in the shade Rose Gold, so I use this as a shiny bronzer, and I'm going to regret this because I set my base so it doesn't quite blend as easily as I'd like to, and I took way too much, so I decided to use that as a base for my eyeshadow. And it acts as a really nice one and done eyeshadow look. Actually, I do this most mornings if I just have 1 minute to throw on some mascara and one shade all over the eyelids. I just throw this and some mascara, and it's really hard to blend with the sponge, so I go in with a brush. It's a bit better for situations like this because it uses a bit more pressure. The bristles kind of make it easier to blend. As you can see, it's quite patchy on the other side. So yeah, make sure to use all your liquid products before you set your base. And anything left, I just use it on my neck. Please disregard how dirty this bronzer looks. This is Mocha Mami from Fenty. It's quite dark, so most days I kind of use this as a blush and a bronzer, like a bronzer shade blush. If I'm in a pinch, it works great for that. It's quite pigmented, so I kind of barely touch my skin and just push it to my hairline so I can get a really sun-kissed complexion base. And I'm using a fluffy brush to give me some more lift on the outer eye because it's a very glowy look. It goes really well with the bronzer because I'm using the same shade for my transition and my bronzer. Next, I'm using this Essence pencil. This is such a good affordable pencil. Listen, if you want a chocolate brown affordable drugstore pencil, look no further. This is so creamy. This is like my go-to brown pencil for 8 months, and I still have some product left, so this will last you a good while. It's really affordable. It's so creamy, it gives you enough time to blend. It's not like it sets in a few seconds, so if you rush to blend it out, you have enough playtime. So I really like it. It's quite warm, though you don't really get a lot of cool tone looks out of this. It won't give you a lot of dimension because it's quite warm, but it's a great base for any brown smoky eye. And then I'm just using the Anastasia brush, the one that comes in the palette. And I'm using one of my favorite, I think it's one of my first ever palettes that I purchased. I'm using these bronzy tones, this peach and the red and the brown, predominantly for the look today. I'm using that peachy shimmer shade as my transition, and I'm kind of flicking it outwards. And then I'm using one of the brushes that came with a Natasha Denona mini palette, the one that was the Metropolis? Yeah, I guess. And I'm using a pencil brush to use the darker shade, the brown in the palette, and I'm just setting the eyeliner that we used, and I'm smoking that out on the lower lash. Going in with a big fluffy brush with nothing in on it, just to blend out and give me a seamless blend. Now I'm using my finger just to press this bronzy shimmer all over my lid. It gives a very nice, like under certain lights, it catches so beautifully. It's not too glimmery, but it's just nuanced enough. It just looks so pretty. And now for the inner corner, I'm using this, I don't know how to describe this. It's a very translucent base. It's just a very sheeny shimmer. It has no base. It's just a lot of reflect. So I kind of wanted that for my inner corner. Not too much color, just a lot of reflect. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye, and I'll be right back. And that's both eyes completed. I zoom out, and I just realized the stand was in the frame all along. And I'm setting my brows with the brow gel. This is the one from Essence. It's so classic. It's so affordable, so good. But that's a bit too light for my brows, but I don't mind it really. It just makes it look a little lighter than my actual hair color, but I don't mind it. I comb my lashes, and now I'm using one of my favorite mascaras of all time, I guess I would say. It just gets better and better with time. It's one of those mascaras you think that it's not that great, I don't see what everyone's talking about, but once you keep using it after the 2-month mark, it's insane how much volume it gives you. And I don't have great lashes. They're not too spectacular, they're not too bad. With the right mascara, they're pretty nice. And as you can see, the before and after on one of the eyes, it's quite prevalent. And that's the finished look with just 2 layers of mascara. And that's the first look, and I'll see you for the second one. Boom. It looks so different without the red lip. It's just that's missing, and I miss how it made my teeth look whiter. And I kept the eye, actually. I thought I'd take it off, but I thought I could show you how to build on a pre-existing look, and I still can't believe what an amazing find the Subculture palette was from TK Maxx. And I'm using this black shade from Mixed Metals. It's from Zoeva. It's very pigmented, but the palette is predominantly shimmers, so it's kind of hard to do a full look on this one. And I'm just gonna build on what I have right now. So I'm just using this black from Maybelline on my waterline, and I'm making a very haphazard wing, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to smoke it out. You can use 2 types of brushes, either like a flat brush or something that's pointy. I'm using a flat brush today to kind of smoke out the wing. So when you have your base like a gel, you can use it to kind of mold and extend your wing as you want. And I'm kind of following this shape, which is a diagonal one, so it gives me this feline effect. And I'm flicking it out without any product so far. I'm flicking it out first, kind of settling on the shape I want, and then I'll set it with the black base. And now I'm kind of using some black eyeshadow from the Zoeva palette, and it's a lot of going back and forth between. And you can see the before and after. Some people might prefer just the first look, but for me, the more dramatic the better. So I'm gonna keep building, and just look at these beautiful yummy shades. It's just so rich and so pigmented. I just love it. I'm just going to showcase some of these shimmers here. Wait, let me tell you what they are. Right now I'm showing you Electric and Adorn. I really wish you could see the shift. It's insane on Electric. It's like a beautiful green to gold shift. And now I turn down the light so you can see the shade Cube. It's a very, in person, it's very prevalent, the white to pink shift. A stunning shade. Really gorgeous shades. If you can find them on TK Maxx, snag it, because it's limited edition, so it's hard to buy it from any retailers anyway. Now I'm using the darkest shade. It's called Rowdy, and I'm smoking out the wing so it can make it a bit more not too precise. I just want to make it really blown out and really smoky, and I'm kind of taking that all across, taking that below, and going back and forth with the brush. Next I'm taking this, it looks really red on camera, but it's actually a brown that's having a red undertone, and I'm smoking out the wing from the lower part, and I'm flicking it out and just going on top, layering red on the crease so I can get a bit more dimension there. I'm going back in with the fluffy Natasha Denona brush, back in with the brown, the warm tone one, and I'm just reinforcing all of those shadows. It's a lot of back and forth, really, so not much for me to say here. And at any point, if you feel like it's much, you can obviously stop there. You can just take whatever steps you think you need and would suit your eye shape from this. Doesn't mean you have to go as extreme. You don't have to extend the inner corner. You don't have to blow it out as far as I did it, like across the temple. And I'm using the brown, the neutral brown shade. I'm kind of making it an all matte look because I thought I could just add a hint of shimmer, like an accent, instead of doing like an all shimmer crease. And I'm going in with the transition shades, like the beige and the light brown, and I'm mixing them because I think it's a bit too dark in the inner corner, and I'll just lighten that a bit. Yes, as I was saying, if you want to stop at any point, you can obviously do so. It doesn't mean you have to make it quite this extreme. But yeah, just for New Year's, I just wanted to make it quite dramatic. And yeah, if not on New Year's Eve, when else are you gonna adorn a really dramatic cat smoky eye? And I'm just setting that inner corner with the browdy shade. If you have an inner corner extension with a pencil, do set that with like a powder actually, otherwise it will inevitably smudge and it's just not gonna be a pretty look. And I decided I wanted even yet more drama, so I go back in with the black shade from the YEAR'S EVE palette, and I just give a little more structure and a bit more depth on the outer part, and I take that in on the lower lash as well to make it a bit more smoky in the bottom. And now with a I don't know how to call it, like a skinny brush, I guess, I take the Adorn shade and I kind of do this faux cut crease, not a cut crease but the outline of the cut crease, and I kind of wing it out, and I think it looks just beautiful and stunning and under certain lights, and it opens up your eye and makes it so special. Gotta do the same thing on the other eye, and I realized one of my lights died, so the lighting is going to be a bit off on this part. And you can obviously use fake lashes. I think you should use fake lashes with something as dramatic as this. It's just completely going to take it to a different level. But listen, I suck at applying false lashes. It's just not for me and I don't look good. Or maybe it's the both. Yeah, so I'm just piling on more mascara because a look that dark calls for really dramatic lashes. And luckily with this Essence Lash Princess, this is the volumizing one, so you can actually build quite some volume with this. Now I'm using the NYX lip liner in the shade Espresso. This is one of my favorite. Like, if I had just one lip liner to pick, I think I would be pretty content if I just had this one. It works really great for overlining, adding any dimension and structure. And my favorite nude lipstick from Maybelline in the shade Melted Chocolate. It's just a classic warm tone brown nude. Really nice, can't go wrong with it. And I'm really proud of this. This is my first ever gloss I used up. This is in the shade Topaz, and I'm scraping for any last bits, and it just looks stunning. Definite dupe for Fenty Glow, the gloss bombs, yeah. And I think that's the final look. That's my second New Year's Eve bronzy smoky eye. Hope you enjoyed. Toodles. Where's the camera? Here. Okay. Yeah. So I just talked for 10 minutes for no reason. I forgot to click record. Rookie mistake. Anyway, so this is the final look. I wanted to do like a 3-look video, but it's not enough time. It's too dark. It's literally pitch black outside. It's better to just do like 2 videos that I can actually edit and put up before midnight. Yeah, so I just made a few changes. I added some highlighter here. As you can see, it doesn't show on camera. It's quite glass-like. I used the Fenty Beauty How Many Carats? It's like this really glittery, beautiful, reflective glass-like highlighter. Now, if you don't like glitter or any kind of visible particles on your highlighter, maybe you won't like this. But if you do like this really glass editorial look, look no further. That's the finished look, and I'm kind of glad that I stopped here because I really like how pretty this looks, and it's quite glowy and pretty, and I really appreciate like a statement eye and nude lips, because anytime we have to be talking and socializing and eating and drinking, you kind of have this rim around your mouth where the product wears off, and it's much less noticeable with a nude product and then say with like a bold red or a brown or a burgundy. So I prefer something like this where I can just easily touch up and it's not even going to be noticeable. So yeah, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the next year brings you a lot more peace and happiness and yada yada yada, money, success, joy. But really, I hope you have more unrestricted travel, lesser PCR tests, less time stressing about catching COVID, and just more fun, more time outside. And I just hope you enjoy life more. Okay, that's all from me. I'll see you next year. I had to do the dad joke, I'm sorry. Yeah, Happy New Year's. Bye.
One more year is one more year that everyone's closer to death. Whatever, suit yourself, humanity.
Congratulations.